Já pensou em não ter que fazer várias pesquisas
contractor for this launch, and we have Pierre Tissier, who is our Deputy Chief Technology Officer.
And so, as we were saying, very first rideshare mission here for ArianeSpace. Can you tell us more about this new offer?
Yes, it's very important because tonight is a real premiere. For the first time in Europe, we will have a mission which will embark 53 satellites in the same launcher with Vega. And this is a new offer which is dedicated to this emerging segment of the market, the small satellite between a few grams to 200 kilos.
So a very impressive offer which will be giving access to space to a whole new range of customers. The launch, unfortunately, was postponed several times. Can you take us through these delays?
Yes, so we have had to reschedule the launch because in March we have had the pandemic and everyone has understood that we have to take special measures, and so we have had to slow down a little bit our activities. In June we were ready to come back to the launch pad with our customers and with the launcher, but unfortunately due to negative high altitude winds it was not possible to launch. But what I can tell you tonight is that the weather is with us, and as you can see on the control screen, the weather is green.
That is fantastic news. Good to hear it from you, Stéphane. Tonight also marks, of course, Vega's return to flight, as we were saying.
Yes, so it was a little more than 1 year ago. We have had an anomaly with Vega after an impressive tempo of successes. It is things which can happen in our business. We have perfectly understood with all our partners, with ESA, with Avio, the root cause of the anomaly. And tonight we are ready for the launch.
Well, thank you very much, Stéphane, for joining us. I know this is a very busy time for you. We are some 10 minutes to lift off, so we're going to let you get back to your teams and back to work. Thank you for taking time out, and we'll be back with you just after our second separation. That's in about an hour's time. So thank you very much for joining us, and we'll be back speaking to you in about an hour's time.
Thank you, Elise.
Thank you, Stéphane. And Beatrice, as we were saying, it's been a very eventful year here. Tonight we're launching VV16, and you're already working on the next flight, aren't you?
Yes, that's correct. I'm working already on VV17. And for VV16, we are really very proud to be here today because we have overcome all kinds of adversities. As Stéphane just explained, the first launch attempt was in March, and the campaign was put on hold just 10 days before the launch due to the lockdown that was imposed by the pandemic of the COVID. And then, despite all these difficulties that we had during the sanitary crisis, we resumed the launch campaign for a new attempt in June, and at that time the weather was not on our side, definitely, and even yesterday we have another unexpected weather event. So here we are now for VV16 and also preparing the next Vega launch for hopefully in November.
So as always in space, looking to the future, and back to tonight's mission here. So as I was saying to you, Alexandre is going to be taking us through all the milestones. Can you please tell us about the key moments to look out for, please?
Of course, Liz. So, following the liftoff from CSG, the first solid booster stage, PAT, starts the mission with a flight duration less than 2 minutes. The second and the third stages, Zefiro-23 and Zefiro-9, will increase the launcher velocity with the help of their own propellant consumption and their respective separations. After 6 minutes and 30 seconds, the launcher reaches hypersonic velocity around Mach 11 at 200 km altitude. The Avum upper stage will ignite its engine for the first time, operating for about 8 minutes, targeting orbit conditions. After a first long ballistic phase, a reignition occurs for about 1.5 minutes, prior to releasing the first 7 satellites at 515 km. At this stage, Liz, we will end the webcast, but of course, you can follow on social media the rest of the mission. Customer sequence will end by releasing the 46 CubeSat 15 km higher after 2 short Avum boost durations and a second long ballistic phase. Then, for the total mission customer duration, it will be for this mission 1 hour and 45 minutes.
Thank you very much for all these explanations, Alex. So we'll be back speaking to you very soon. Beatrice, you work alongside the customers on a lot of these missions. When it comes, there's a very precise campaign for each mission. And of course, all preparations take place at the Kourou Space Center, the CSG, which is actually a very large area, the size of New York City. More than 700 kilometers square. So can you maybe take us for a bird's eye oversight of the Vega facilities, the facilities that are being used here for this particular mission?
Yeah, sure. So here we have the payload processing facilities. These are the buildings where the satellites are prepared for launch. This is the aerial view of the S5 building. That is one of the most advanced payload facilities in the world. It allows us having several launch campaigns in parallel, as there are 2 halls for the standalone operations and 2 other buildings, those blocks that we can see on the left side of the screen, for the hazardous operations like the propellant fillings. Other facilities for Vega. And now we are going to see as well the Vega Launch Control Center. So this is the place where the launch vehicle operations are managed. And it's a common building for the Ariane and the Vega launches.
It's very near to the launch pad, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very close to the launch pad. And now we are going to have the view of the launch pad, very nice view. And the launch vehicle is directly integrated inside, so in this pad, and the payload composite joins the launcher when it's encapsulated. And all those operations are performed inside the mobile gantry that we can see there. The gantry is not there now because it has been rolled out about 3 hours before liftoff. This is the entrance of the launch base with the Jupiter 2, that is the Mission Control Center. It's situated just on the right side at the entrance. And we will see more images of the inside of this building because all our management is there. And Galileo, which is the tracking station, the first one that will receive the first telemetries, the first part of the telemetry of the launcher, is located in La Montagne de Terre, about 20 kilometers from the launch base.
Thank you very much, Beatrice. So here we have an oversight of what is going on there in Kourou. I was telling you, Alexandra will be taking us through the key moments of the mission, but you will also be hearing another voice throughout the evening, and that is the voice of the Range Operations Manager in Mission Control. His name is Raymond Boyce. He is called, in French, he's called the DDO, and he is the person whose voice will be calling out all these major milestones. We're actually coming up to one right now, Alexandra, aren't we? At 4 minutes, we should hear the start of what they call the synchronized sequence.
Attention pour la séquence finale lanceur. Top à 0-4 minutes.
So what does that mean, Alexandre?
Yes, so it's an important milestone list. All of system representative of the range, the launcher and upper part are green, and we can continue until the start of the automated sequence 30 seconds before liftoff. In other words, it's a medical examination before hiring, and as you can see, we are healthy and ready to carry out the job.
So our Vega is ready to go.
Yes.
Right, okay. So another piece that you can't miss in Mission Control, if we go back to the pictures of the Jupiter Control Center, is the giant screen that towers over the teams there, the operational teams. And it is called the status panel. We'll be going over to it shortly. And as Alexandra was saying, all the markers are green on that status panel. What does it reflect?
So yes, you can see on the screen as a global status panel. We have all the subsystems coming from the launch base, giving their status towards the Mission Control Center. On one hand, you have the range representative of the safety criteria, logistic and ground mains. On the other hand, the launcher helps with electrical and mechanical checks. Finally, the upper part checks, including Ssms dispenser and satellite status. As a traffic light, it is a green. You can go. It is red. You should stop.
Absolutely. And so you'll be able, of course, to take us through these moments thanks to your expertise, but also thanks to the information you'll be receiving through your earpiece. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, I'm connected directly to our colleague in Kourou CVI by this earpiece.
It's the same information the DDO is receiving, is
exactly,
that right? Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So this team received all Vega flight parameters in Galileo, as mentioned by Beatrice. They have 3 panels focused on propulsion parameters, guidance, navigation, and control activations, and trajectory. Head of CVI will synthesize their respective and numerous feedbacks in real time, transmitting information to DDO.
Mm. And so this information, that there are many, many parameters, hundreds of parameters being collected, and of course they can't all be analyzed in real time, so the proper deep analysis will start as of the day after the launch, as far as I understand.
Tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yes.
And this information will be used for the next launches.
Yes, you will receive all this experience from this flight, and you will apply all positive feedback to improve the next flight.
Of course. And so it looks like we're coming up to another milestone. The DDO's voice calling out the 1 minute mark, I believe.
Stop à 0-1 minute.
So there we go.
Yeah,
1 minute
so
to go.
the flags are green. Weather status is good. We are getting closer to the automated sequence, and I'm keeping my finger crossed.
Well, we're all crossing our fingers here in Paris. We're going to wish everyone good luck and sit back and enjoy the launch. We'll be back with you shortly.
À tous de DDO, attention pour le décompte final. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, top. Allumage P80. Allumage P80, décollage. Ssms for flight.
For years.
Yes.
How does it feel? You're 15.
Very exciting and moving at the same time. It's a Vega rebirth.
Because apart from the first one, you have always been there.
Yes, yes, from the second flight. So you can admire the liftoff on the launcher acceleration landing on the first stage PAT, with an average thrust of 230 tons for a launcher total mass roughly twice less. This is what gives Vega this particular feeling of acceleration.
Very impressive, Beatrice. I mean, you are used to seeing these takeoffs. It's something else, isn't it?
I used to see those takeoffs, but always inside the Jupiter, so never outside. But it's really very impressive to see anyway in the screen.
So, Alexandre, take us through a lot of we were just listening to the DDO announcing a lot of milestones taking place in very quick succession. Please take us through it.
Yes, now it's the tail off of the first stage. It's confirmed by the DDO. And now the separation of the first stage is confirmed. So approximately the ignition of the second one, named VV23, it is confirmed now.
And the information from the launcher we can still see the sky. It's an amazing sky we have tonight. We're very, very lucky. The information from our launch is being picked up by the first ground station along its path, as we were saying earlier, Beatrice, the station of Galileo in Kourou. In mission control, of course, everyone is following what is happening very, very closely, and you can follow on your screen here to the right. You can follow the altitude, distance, and speed of our launcher, its trajectory on that yellow line to the right of your screen there. So everything nominal, as they're telling us in mission control. So back in Jupiter, key figures working on this mission, of course, representing the European Space Agency. We have Charlotte Besco. She is head of the ESA Kourou office, and she is the first woman in this position. Alongside Charlotte, we have Daniel Neuenschwander. He is Director of Space and Transportation. And representing the CSG, we have Marianne Claire. She took over as head of the CSG just 9 months ago, and it is also the first time a woman takes on this position. Coming up to another milestone, Alexandra.
Second stage separation is confirmed. Few seconds of ballistic. And you will see in the coming few seconds the ignition confirmed. 5 seconds later, separation of the fairing. And you can admire with this 3D simulation the Ssms structure with all satellites around.
And we are now in outer space. We have yes, we have reached the place where our passengers are no longer under any threat, and therefore we can get rid of the fairing.
Yeah.
So our first separation scheduled in just over 35 minutes. Earlier we spoke to Fabrizio Fabiani. He is program director on this mission. He has been working very hard over the past months. Believe me, it has been an unprecedented challenge. This is what he had to tell us.
On this mission, we have 7 microsats on the upper part of the Ssms carrying structure and 46 nanosatellites hosted in the lower part called hexagon. Let me spend some words about the 7 microsats. First, the satellite to be separated is under contract and procured by rideshare provider Spaceflight Inc. The second one is Nemo HD, that is the first Slovenian satellite for Earth observation, designed and manufactured in collaboration between SpaceSI and Spaceflight Laboratory from the Institute for Aerospace Studies of the University of Toronto, and will be operated by SpaceSI. The third one is UPMSat-2, an in-orbit demonstration satellite with the goal to improve education, research, industrial spin-off, and international cooperation. The project is led by Polytechnical University of Madrid. The fourth is GRGSat-C1, the first commercial satellite for GRGSat Inc. of Montreal, developed by SFL on NEMO platform, whose mission is to measure greenhouse gases emissions. After that, on the main deck, we have ISAIL, the first commercial satellite developed in partnership with the European Space Agency, involving Desert Earth as mission operator and LuxSpace as prime contractor. NewSat-6, an Earth observation satellite built and operated by Satellogic, and ION SCV Lucas, a spacecraft designed and built by Deorbit, able to transport several satellites into space and deploy them individually into precise orbiter slots.
And that was Fabrizio Fabiani. He is mission director on this flight VV16. Alexandra here to tell us all about this mission tonight. We're coming up to one of the key moments.
The confirmation of the first stage separation. That's good. So we had 3 successive significant acceleration flight phases. We are now at Mach 11 above atmospheric threshold at 200 kilometer altitude. And this Zeta 9 will have a fall down in ocean.
And as we were saying, Vega's path takes it northwards. All along its journey, it is, of course, being followed by these ground stations. We mentioned Galileo. All the information is being sent to the CVI, the real-time visual control. Tell us a little bit more about, because you've spent time in this in the CVI, haven't you, for your job?
Yes, I was in front of the trajectory panels, so I have a dedicated dedicace for them as they are working on this special flight. So CVI received by telemetry or flight parameters from all the ground tracking stations used for this mission. That is mean French Guiana, as you mentioned, Bermuda Island, Canada, South Korea, and Australia. You can say it's a wonderful international contribution under CNES responsibility.
Absolutely, and we heard a confirmation that we were acquired by Bermuda just over 40 seconds ago. And there we have Marianne Claire, the director of the CSG I was telling you about earlier. Alexandre, I think we're about to, did we hear confirmation from the DDO, the first AVUM ignition?
It is confirmed now.
There we go.
So this boost is mandatory to target orbit conditions defined by a perigee altitude greater than 120 kilometers.
And what happens during this AVUM flight phase?
So during this flight phase, Canadian Saint-Hubert telemetry ground station is acquiring data. So you have an overlap between Bermuda and Canadian station. And this first boost is targeting intermediate orbit parameters. When achieved, the stage will cut off.
Thank you very much, Alexandre. I don't know what we'd do without you. So a reminder, this very first ride-share mission for ArianeSpace on board Vega, 53 passengers on board, 3 separations. Let's hear more from our program director, Fabrizio Fabiani, in Kourou.
What we are looking at is the motion of the satellite separation that is going to happen in a few moments. On this mission, we will have 3 separations. First one involves the 4 microsat which are on the towers. The second batch involves the 3 microsat on the deck. And the last one, delayed by about 10 minutes and on a higher orbit, will involve the separation of all the 46 nanosatellites which are hosted in the canisters integrated onto the Hexa module. The canisters on this mission have several sizes and come from several manufacturers like ISIS, Tyvak, and Astrophane. The main feature of the canister is to protect the satellites during the launch and to eject the satellite into space when the separation command from the launcher reaches the opening mechanism that allows the satellite to get out. On this mission, we have satellites from 0.25 unit up to 6 unit. 1 unit is a cube having the dimension of a Rubik cube. In particular, we have 38 CubeSat for commercial customers with different missions, ranging from Earth observation, Internet of Things, and in-orbit demonstration, and 8 for institutional customers with mainly educational and scientific purposes. The separation sequence for such kind of missions is quite complicated because it has to assure no collision between CubeSats. We have globally 21 customers for all over the world, and in particular from US, Canada, Thailand, South America, and many from Europe. I'm very proud to have worked with all of them side by side for about 2 years. It was a great experience to exchange with so many persons from different nationalities, cultures, and backgrounds. I personally learned much from all of them. It was a long and challenging journey, receiving a so huge amount of data from all the customers, putting them together, doing the mission analysis and making available the key data to the right person at the right time. It was a great teamwork. I'm so grateful to everybody for that. Thank you.
So 53 passengers on board our launch tonight, and among them a few from North America. We're joined live now by Stella Guillen, live from Washington, D.C. Stella Guillen is ArianeSpace's VP for Sales and Marketing. Good morning, good evening, Stella. Good morning for us, good evening for you. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Liz. So excited to be here.
We were talking about the North American market. What are the prospects for the SSMS on the US market?
Yes, so out of the 53 satellites, a lot of them are from the US. This is a market, the small satellite market has been growing tremendously, about 10 times since 2010. We consider small satellites between 1 kilogram to 400 kilogram, which equates about 300 satellites a year. So it's a significant market for us. And with the help of the European Space Agency and the L3 program, we have been able to develop some carriers that can actually help us meet the demands of this market. So very exciting.
And tell us, what is ArianeSpace's answer to that? What are your differentiators?
So we are actually very uniquely positioned to meet this market needs. ArianeSpace is a family of launch vehicles that complement each other. So that gives us the capacity to basically offer launch services for any satellites, any shape or mass of satellites to any orbit at any time. Today we're launching to a LEO orbit, but we have we're launching constellations to MEO. We are launching to geostationary orbits. We're having a lunar program rideshare mission coming up on Ariane 6. So all kinds of flexibility in orbits. And also our new vehicles, Vega C and Ariane 6, will give us the flexibility or the capability to perform several boosts of the launch. And that will allow us to give smart deployment schemes for customers for rideshare missions and for constellations. We're also providing some financial schemes to new entrants in the market. That's thanks to VPI and the European Investment Bank. Lots of flexibility and a very reliable launch service.
And so, as you were mentioning, Vega C to look forward to in 2021.
Il reste moins de 2 minutes de propulsion de la Vega.
Yes, we're very excited. There's a lot happening on Vega, and for the small satellite market and the rideshare possibilities, we actually have coming up 2 missions on the next 6 months that will allow us to put rideshare missions for CubeSat. So it's a great opportunity. We have an equatorial launch rideshare mission coming up as well. Obviously Vega C, and also on Ariane 6 coming up as the new launcher as well.
And in a few seconds, you might have a message for your partners tonight in a few seconds, Stella.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We know that every satellite mission has tons of people behind it, and their hearts and hopes and everything goes with a day like today, the launch day. So we want to say thank you so much to our customers for the trust they put in us, and for the Vega team that has worked so hard and has given us so much passion and drive through the campaign. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for joining us. That was Stella Guillen live from Washington, D.C. Thanks, Stella.
Thank you.
And back here in the studio in Paris, Beatrice has left us shortly in order to be able to respect social distancing rules. And Luce Fabregat, ArianeSpace Executive VP, has joined us. Thank you very much for being with us, Luce.
Thank you, Elise. Good morning.
Good morning, indeed. You have returned from Kourou quite recently.
Yes, 2 weeks ago, in fact, after the launch, the successful launch of Ariane 5.
Congratulations.
Thank you, and I'm very pleased to be, thanks to all the teams, in fact, and I'm very pleased to be here with you, almost at home, to follow this launch, this Vega launch today.
Well, thank you very much. And while we were speaking, Alexandre, sorry, but another milestone, the AVUM extinction occurred.
You can hear now it's the first AVUM boost cutoff. So we will start a slow maneuver to start a long ballistic phase with a dedicated barbecue mode.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much for this information. And we're now going to be going to some replay pictures of tonight's launch. You can never watch it too many times, and this will be an opportunity for me to ask our 2 guests here who've been around for a while and who've seen quite a few launches. Have you actually seen many of them with your very own eyes? Because you're probably most of the time sitting in mission control or somewhere else.
Exactly. Unfortunately, I could see only twice launches. It's a gift when you are in training. Yes, it's impressive and forever in mind. But on the other side, the launch campaign job does not allow to rejoice in such a spectacle as you are dedicated to your work during the flight.
Absolutely. So, same question goes to you, Luce. I mean, you've been with ArianeSpace for some time.
For 15 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And as for Alex, I've seen most of the